Hello. It's 1 minute before 9 and I'm just learning how to use YouTube live streams. So here I am and I think it's working. Let me know in the comments if you can hear me, see me, say hi, tell me where you're coming from. It's 9 now. Catherine, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm excited to talk to you guys today. I actually like watching live streams on YouTube, and normally it's, like the trendy trials that have been going on lately. Hi, Mom. I can always count on my mom. And actually, a few of the questions I have are because she's asked me in the last few weeks. And hello, LDP or IDP. Welcome. And my sister, look, this will be so easy because I can just pretend I'm talking to my mom and my sister. So my sister is Family Tech. My mom is Susan Bankhead. So, let's just get into it because I got a couple of questions and I have, and if you have a question while I'm talking, that's the whole point of the live stream, so that I can answer your questions as we are chatting. Hi, Becky. Thank you for coming. So let's see. The first question I got through email was, hi, Lorraine from New Hampshire. Glad you made it. It's 11 on the East Coast, so I'm sure you want to get into your Saturday. So I won't be long, just long enough to answer these things. Cheyenne from California, it's early for you, so thanks for coming. Okay, so the very first question I got was, do I recommend supplements for fat loss, or what are routines that can help burn fat faster? There are fat burners on the market, clearly, and I've taken them on and off throughout the last 40 years. And so I can confidently say sometimes they worked and sometimes they didn't. It really depended on where I was in my journey. The only thing that has been proven to accelerate fat loss, if you will, is caffeine. So any stimulants is going to increase your heart rate. And it's not the safest way to do it, but increase your heart rate, thus increasing your metabolism. But the problem with caffeine is that it has diminishing returns. So it would be most effective like the first day you had some caffeine and it's been a while, but then you tolerate it over time and then you'd have to cycle off of it and then come back on it for it to be effective again. So I have used caffeine. I haven't found, and I just think most fat burners are just expensive caffeine pills, to be honest. If it had a component of appetite suppression, then I might be more willing to go that route. But I've used things that said it could suppress an appetite, but it has not been the case for me. I could try it and then I'd still eat all my food for the day. And mostly I think it's because I don't think a lot of us eat just because we're hungry. I think there's so many other reasons to eat. So using an appetite suppressant might not even matter if you're eating because you're bored. Are liquid calories, so Cheyenne asks, are liquid calories equivalent to whole calories in food, like protein shake versus chicken? They are different. If you have liquid calories like a protein shake, you're going to absorb it more quickly. And if that's your purpose, like if you're going to go to a workout and you want a quick absorbing of carbs or you want a quick absorbing of protein to help fuel your muscle, then the liquid version is going to be more effective because you don't have to use your digestion and break it down and cleave all the atoms and the amino acids and all the things. But if you're looking just for fat loss, then the whole food calories are better because you wouldn't actually get all the calories from that food. So, for example, what's a good example? Something high in fat, something like a protein or something like a fruit smoothie with vegetables in it or something. I mean, you're probably going to absorb all those calories because it's already ground up and like basically digested for you. But if you are trying, or if you eat broccoli in its whole form, bananas in its whole form, strawberries in its whole form, that fiber and roughage that's still intact is going to go like help you with digestion, but also you won't absorb as many of the calories. So if you had 100 calories of broccoli raw, you would probably use only like 70 of them. But if you had 100 calories of broccoli blended up into a soup, you might use 90 of the calories. So for fat loss, the whole food is better. For quick acting workout fuel, then the liquid calories are better. Deborah asks, many bodybuilder diets recommend a free or cheat meal. It doesn't work with me because the next day I have a yummy treat. I noticed you didn't do that, and that's exactly why. Cheat meals for me have been problematic. That's just the bottom line. Although I've been thinking about attempting to go back to them because I feel like I'm in a better space now. But as I'm going to talk about throughout this whole thing, different things have worked for me at different times in my life. I feel like there's no reason to get stuck on finding the exact right approach to fat loss and maintenance, because in the beginning, more mindful eating, less distraction worked for me. In the beginning, 3 meals a day worked for me. Today, 4 meals works for me, and tracking works for me. And I think that it's okay. I know it's okay to change. My reasons why for sticking to a plan has changed over the years. Like, I feel like you don't need to be fixed on, and now I'm getting off your question, but my point is, it's okay to experiment with different strategies and different mindset, and then pivot when you have to, when it's no longer serving you. And so that's the thing with cheat meals. In the beginning, it just takes a lot of momentum for me to stick to a plan. And the first few days, I'm just getting used to it. I'm just getting into it. I'm able to be more and more accurate as the days go by. But if I have a cheat meal, it's like I have to get that momentum back up again, or I just remembered how amazing food is, and the next day I want another. Or the other problem is, a cheat meal for me turns into a cheat day. I'm like, well, technically it's still my cheat meal day, so I can have 3 more pieces of toast. So that it just doesn't work for me. A lot of bodybuilders, it does work for them, and they're really good at it, and they're really good at, I think it's more than a cheat. It's more of just an untracked meal where they can go out and enjoy a meal without tracking, and they're not going ham. They're not going like excessive with it. Catherine says, I noticed you don't eat fish. Is that a personal reason why you avoid it? I'll throw my mom under the bus. I just don't think we really had much fish growing up. So I haven't remembered to use it in my diet much. I think it's amazing, and I have goals to eat more fish. My sister says, ew. My daughter is a sea animal fanatic. So I didn't prepare fish when she was growing up. She would just refuse it. But I do have a lot of fish in my freezer because, like I said, I always have a goal. And I actually love tuna. I would eat that all the time. And I do have many cans of it. but I don't know why I don't. It's my goal to have more of that. I think it's very good for you. Very good. Deborah says, what do you think of the fruit and vegetable tablet advertised on TV? Personally, because I just love food, I'd rather eat all my calories. I mean, I guess those tablets don't have calories per se, but I've never tried them, so I can't really speak to it. I feel like I get all of the nutrients I need through my diet because I do eat a lot of fruits and vegetables. So I just haven't pursued it. If you were deficient, I think it'd be great because I'm all about supplements to fill the gap between with your deficiencies. So I'd be all for it because in essence, they're just multivitamins, but with a lot of antioxidants and things like that. So I'm in favor for sure, but I meet my minimum micronutrients through food, so I don't take it. It's a cheat day. Yeah, Deborah. If you can have it, and I've tried to tell myself this is not a cheat meal, this is an untracked meal. And I haven't really got there yet, but if I did, that's what I would try. Yes, eat the calories. Back to the first question from my email. The second half of her question was, after do I recommend supplements for fat loss? Do I have routines that help burn fat faster? I'll say burning fat faster, the only way is to increase your like normal daily expenditure, your basal metabolic rate. And you can actually do that by fidgeting more. You've probably heard people that fidget more have higher, I'll call it a metabolism, but really it's just how many calories you're burning in a day. So fidgeting, if you can remember to do it, it actually does make a difference. But the biggest thing that's made a difference for me is weightlifting. Not during the workout itself, but the more muscle you build. I once heard it, and I should fact check before I say things like this, but I once heard, and I used to teach it when I worked for the health department, that 1 pound of fat burns like 2 calories a day, but 1 pound of muscle burns 10 calories a day. And before I started lifting, I had one of those breathalyzer tests that test your basal metabolic rate, and mine came in at 1,000 calories a day. So I'm literally burning 1,000 calories a day, which at first I was like, it's so unfair because I just think people should be able to burn more than 1,000 calories a day. If I didn't exercise, I would just not be able to eat anything to maintain my weight. But after I put on 8 pounds of muscle and I look smaller, but my basal metabolic rate went up to 1,200, which was pretty significant. That's a big jump. So definitely adding muscle helps to do that. And then the last thing I was going to say about burning fat faster is I feel like people discount the benefits of, like, in the beginning when you're losing weight, they're like, oh, well, I haven't lost any fat. It's just water weight or whatever. But maybe you've been dealing with a lot of water retention. And when you start eating better and that water retention goes down, even though you haven't technically lost fat, I can tell you from personal experience that the water weight that you finally shed can make the difference between your jeans being tight and fitting well. So even though it's not fat, I think eating whole foods, lowering your sodium, getting all of that water retention gone can feel like fat loss, even though it might not be. But I think the benefits are there. I think it's the same. Powell Family Farm. She's been awesome at commenting on all of my YouTube videos, so thank you. She asks, does my husband eat the same way I do? My husband eats healthier than me. In fact, he has zero, I'll call it zero food attention. Like, he doesn't think about food. He's the kind of guy that will forget to eat. But when he does, he just eats vegetables and proteins. And I can tell you this, Thanksgiving, or when after like you go to the Cheesecake Factory and you're so stuffed that you want to die. He's never felt that before. He's like, when people would say they'd have to unbutton their pants after Thanksgiving, he's like, I don't understand. Why would you eat till you're full? So yeah. So the way we do meals now, and when I was raising kids, I cooked dinner every night. We never ate out, but I cooked dinner every night. Now that we're empty nesters, I make one meal on Sunday for obviously him and then our kids and nieces and nephews. And the rest of the week for dinner, I'll make some vegetables or roast some vegetables and I'll give him half. And then he puts that with whatever he's going to eat. So for example, last night I made some hamburger patties, and well, that doesn't really count because I just made one for him. But the night before, he mixed up some sort of bean, ground beef, jalapenos. I don't like jalapenos, so he makes this for himself. He gave him some sort of like hash thing, and I was roasting some broccoli, so I just gave him half of my broccoli. And he ate that, and I ate chicken with my broccoli. So yeah, he eats the same, and it makes it easy when we go on vacation or whatever, because he doesn't like to eat out as much, and so we just bring our own food, and it makes it easy. Sarah from Family Tech says, didn't have fidget spinner on my weight loss bingo card. Well, get yourself a fidget spinner. I'll sell them as a weight loss tool from here out. Did you do intermittent fasting in the beginning? Yes, I love intermittent fasting. I have tried it on and off, and it's worked in some phases of my weight loss journey, and then it stopped working in other phases. And by stopped working, I just mean I stopped following it because I would have other things come up. But in the first 6 months, I would try to delay breakfast until like 11 because it was so much easier to stay on track when I'm only eating 11 a.m. to 5. And I felt great. I felt, I just had a lot of energy, and I liked not digesting food all day and not feeling like I'm grazing all day. So I did do that in the beginning. And then once a month, I fast for 24 hours, or I try the first Sunday of the month. And that just feels good. I do drink water during a fast. Now I eat a lot earlier just because my workouts are getting more intense. And so now I'm eating at like 8 a.m., 9 a.m. But I stop eating by 5 or 6 because I go to sleep early. So maybe that's sort of an intermittent fast. I've tried the different kinds. I've tried the, like 2 meals a day or 800 calorie days for 2 days, and then normal days for 3 days. I've tried that too. That didn't work for me just because if I'm going to have a little bit of food, I just want a lot of food. So Lena says, it's really hard to lose fat. It's been a long journey, but I will keep going. I normally do 3 meals, not snack. Yeah, I could talk for hours about how effective 3 meals and no snacks had been for me. I do 4 meals now. Also just, I think because of the workout, and I'm trying to get a little more protein, but 3 meals, when you have bookends to those meals, then it eliminates even the decision to go back to the pantry all day, because I hate that feeling of you just finished a meal, but yet you're like remembering the granola bars and you're like pulled back to the pantry, even though you've had a fully satisfying meal. So when I had those boundaries for myself, it was a lot easier to say, I can have that granola bar, but I'll just have it for lunch. So after breakfast, I do like to keep eating. And so if I say, okay, yeah, I'm really in the mood for that thing, clearly it's not because I'm hungry, because if I were hungry, because I had just eaten, but if I were hungry, even carrots should be like tempting. But I know I'm not hungry because I want a specific food, like a granola bar, then I'll just say, no problem. I'll have the granola bar at lunch. It works for me for sure. That's hilarious. Your husband's the same way. He doesn't like to feel full. I don't relate. Or when people are like, oh, I forgot to eat lunch. I'm like, how do you forget to eat lunch? I don't get it. So Sarah says, how do you push through discouragement when you're slow to start seeing progress? Oh, wow. I've written a lot about this because even me, like having seen knowing progress, I tend to get discouraged because the last time there were just this last bikini prep, it took a while to start seeing results. And the only thing that works for me is like, you can't control the scale. Like you can't think what the scale should be. The only thing you can control is what you do every day. So I kept having to say, I love the process. And I actually do love the process. The results are irrelevant. Like you have to like doing the work. You have to like tracking your food. You have to like eating healthy. I also really like how I feel the next day. So like last night, we went to a little neighborhood social, and there was a lot of really delicious treats there. And I just kept thinking, I don't want to wake up and feel like, oh, I wish I didn't have any of those, or, oh, I'm feeling bloated. I just don't like that feeling. So I knew when I was standing there, I'm like, think about tomorrow. How do you want to feel tomorrow? So when you're not seeing progress or it's slow progress, you just have to go deep and say, what do I like about this process? And really just focus on that. My husband did your 1,500 ml. So my 1,500 calorie meal plan, and I did the 1,200. He lost more weight and quicker. Yeah. My husband actually did my 1,200 calorie meal plan, and he got really shredded. He was shocked at learning how many calories were in his food, but he did it for a full 30 days, and then he entered a bucked up transformation, and he actually won $500. So anyway, he does lose weight a lot faster than me too. That's unfortunate. If you're fasting when you do your workout, because after your workout, you're supposed to eat within an hour, right? Cheyenne, I used to believe that, and there is some benefit to that. I do believe eating right after your workout helps with recovery. But I don't work out hard enough to really need a lot of recovery. And so if I feel like it was just a regular workout, my heart rate didn't get very high, and it can be long, but not really intense. I just think our bodies are really good at taking nutrients any time of day, and not even the same day. We used to, and I relate this to the fact that, hi, Susan from Kansas. Thank you. We used to teach people when I first was out of school, if you were vegetarian, you had to eat beans and rice in the same meal because there's certain amino acids in beans and certain amino acids in rice, and it's not a complete protein unless you eat them together. Well, since then, we've learned that you can have beans for breakfast and rice for dinner, and your body still knows how to take these amino acids and then 12 hours later, these amino acids and make a whole protein out of it. I just think our bodies are really more efficient than we give them credit for. And so I think meal timing is less impactful as just making sure you get all the nutrients. So I think even if I need some carbs for recovery after a workout, if I waited 2 hours to get it, my body's not going to start breaking down tissue because I really believe the things I ate the day before have a bigger impact on my recovery than the things I'm going to eat after. So the day before, I make sure if I'm doing a long run or a race, the day before is when I increase the food, increase the carbs, increase the calories, because it takes like 12 hours to store carbs as glycogen. It takes even longer than that. So sometimes I'll start, that's a really big one, I'll start Wednesday trying to increase the calories so that I can have those glycogen stores ready for fuel during my workout. Who are some people you listen to on podcasts? Oh gosh, I'll just pull it up because I'm a podcast junkie. So, okay, my very top podcast that I've probably been listening to for, I want to say 10 years, but then maybe she hasn't been around since 2013, but at least since 2018 is Elizabeth Benton from Primal Potential. Like, don't let Primal Potential like stop you from trying her out, because she rarely talks about diet and food, but she definitely 1,000% every day talks about dieting mindset. And she's been very, very, very important in how I think about weight loss. So, and she has a book, it's in my bedroom, called Chasing Cupcakes that talks a lot about that too. So Primal Potential by Elizabeth Benton. I have a bunch of, I'll only tell you the health and nutrition ones. So I have bodybuilding ones and I have running ones, and then I have nutrition ones. One really interesting one that I just was listening to this morning was the Calorie Deficit podcast. She's kind of new and she's younger, but she's kind of like, if you like, well, she swears a little, so I'm going to warn you there. But if you like people who tells you like it is and doesn't let you have any excuses, she's pretty good about that. I also like, so there's one for bodybuilding or weightlifting called Revive Stronger. Of course, I liked the Huberman Lab a while back, but they're just getting too long and redundant for me, so I deleted that one. Muscle for Life is actually, I have a list on my blog I could put a link to. Muscle for Life with Mike Matthews. Let's see. He wrote this one, Thinner, Leaner, Stronger, and he has a podcast. Chalene Johnson, it's random, but she has some great stuff. Run to the Top podcast, Bikini in the Brain, Strength Running podcast with Jason Fitzgerald. That's really good. Let's see. The Coach Mark Carroll podcast. I just downloaded some of his workouts, and he has a podcast that's quick and easy to listen to. Oh, you know what you might like too? Oh, this one's good. Weight Loss Made Real by Cookie Rosenblum. I think it's so funny that somebody named Cookie has a weight loss podcast. And then one I just found that I was, Losing 100 Pounds with Corinne. That's a good one. And then one I just, Muscle Science for Women is a good one. I keep looking for the one I just found that I love. it is, I'm gonna have to write a list for you because I know where I'll find it. Binge eating to food freedom. That girl has a lot of good ideas. And you don't really have to be a binge eater. I wouldn't consider myself a binge eater. So on my blog, I have a list of podcasts I listen to for bikini competitors, but they're mostly just health and nutrition podcasts. So if you just do a search on my blog, search bar that says podcast, you'll see my list. So some of those weren't in there, but I'll make another one with just general weight loss podcasts. But this binge eating to food freedom, it's just a lot of good ideas on changing your mindset about why you overeat. And the biggest takeaway I had from that one was she talks about the energy we put around restriction leads to food obsession. And what she means by that is, and I kind of talked about this and thank you for enjoying my YouTube channel. One reason, she started it by saying, for example, I'm a vegan. When somebody brings out hot dogs and steaks, I have no energy around restricting those foods. She's like, I don't care for those foods. I don't want to eat those foods. So there's no frenzy about having just one bite. And there's no like anxiety about trying to limit how many steaks she's going to eat. And that really struck a chord with me because there's certain foods I have zero energy around the restriction to. So like chips, French fries, hot dogs, hamburgers, I have zero anxiety around trying to limit those foods. The problem is I tell myself, I keep reminding myself of the foods I do have a lot of energy around restricting. So like a bowl full of cookie dough or crumble cookies, or mostly it's cookies, but even peanut butter or, things like that you're trying to hold back, graham crackers. So I have a lot of energy around trying to restrict those foods. And that just leads me to, okay, I'm just going to just eat the rest of this graham cracker package. So tomorrow it's not here. And then I don't have to worry about it anymore. But she says, if you can just slow down, take a breath, and realize the energy you're putting around restricting that food is what's going to make that food a problem for you, then do some deep breathing to let go of that. Just let go of it. Anyway, it's really good. I just found her this week. Binge eating to food freedom. Okay. So one of the questions, from my email was this was from Patrick. He says, when trying to lose weight or cut the fat, what type of workout should I be doing? Just losing fat, I think doing cardio interval training is very effective at oxidizing fat, I'll say. But if you want long-term weight loss, strength training is where it's at. Because like I said in the beginning, if you missed it, because I've been putting on muscle, I went from 1,000 calories of the basal metabolic rate to 1,200 a day because muscle burns more calories than fat. So ideally, you'll do both. One thing that held me back from exercising more or even getting started on a weight loss plan, one thing that held me back was, people say, unless you're willing to do it for the rest of your life, then that's not a great way to lose weight. Well, I don't believe that anymore, because once I started questioning that, I'm like, well, first of all, I didn't want to start running further or longer because unless I'm going to do it for the rest of my life, then I won't be able to maintain this weight loss. And I said, well, number one, what if I could do it for the rest of my life? My life's not that much longer. 50 years more, I hope. But so I just started saying, what if I could do it for the rest of my life? What if I could for the rest of my life always tracked my food and stayed in my calories. What if I could? So that argument might not be relevant. But then I started thinking, what if I don't have to do it for the rest of my life and I can still maintain my progress? And in a lot of things that has been true for me. So for example, well, being in a calorie deficit, you can't be in a calorie deficit indefinitely. What are you going to do? Keep a deficit until you're 50 pounds? I mean, nobody without an eating disorder, obviously, is going to stay in a calorie deficit indefinitely. So right there, it's like, well, I can limit the food that I'm eating for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. And then once I hit my goal, I can be more flexible. And I have been. I'm going out to lunch with my daughter today, and I eat more on the weekends than I used to. So you have to see, like, you just have to question those things. Thanks for coming, Catherine. She's been on 1,200 calories for 6 weeks and down 12 pounds. I'm so happy about that. I bet, it just feels good to get some weight off. It feels good to wear your clothes again that maybe has been tight. It feels good. For me, there was a bigger confidence that came with weight loss and bigger, there are a lot of benefits. Okay, the last thing I'm going to talk about is maintenance. I got a question, and we could talk about maintenance and weight loss can have a lot of the same answers. But this question came into my email, and she was only 1 pound away from her goal. So that's pretty awesome. A few things about maintenance. If you've ever heard of the National Weight Control Registry, they track people who have lost weight and kept it off for more than a year or several years or whatever. And so there were a few things that they found that people did when they were able to keep the weight off. Number one, they found was they worked out. In fact, most of them worked out for, I think, 1 hour a day. So of all the people they're tracking, and there's over 10,000 of them, those people, weight loss, lost weight, kept it off, and 90% of them were averaging 1 hour a day of exercise after they reached their goal. So, like I said, maybe it's something you can do for the rest of your life. So don't discount it. They said 75% of them weigh at least once a week. 36% of them, see ya, Deborah, weigh daily. And I do weigh daily because I like to get an average over a week. And it also helps you from getting your weight back up to where it was before you lost it. So weighing daily and tracking food, even if I'm not in a calorie deficit. Now I'm tracking to fuel my exercise. And so there's a different purpose for it, but I like to track. And so I do keep measuring and weighing my food to track it. Okay. And I wanted to touch on another thing. This weight control registry has some studies that they've done and published and research, peer reviewed, all the kind of stuff. And there were two things that really stood out for me when I was reading it yesterday. One was whether people lost weight rapidly or slowly was indifferent, it didn't matter on the percentage of people that maintained their weight loss. So they're saying it's okay to lose weight quickly and maintain it, or it's also okay to lose weight slowly and maintain it. I know you've heard so many times, like, don't lose weight too fast or you'll never keep it off, but question that. Is that even true? They've actually done studies and it's not true. The only reason it would be true is if you started binging on the other side of your weight loss. So, and gained it back. So if you lose it quickly, there's no reason you can't keep that weight off. And the second myth that I think they effectively debunked is, and I'm going to read it directly from their site, but it says, one myth about weight cycling is that a person who loses and regains weight will have more difficulty losing weight again and maintaining it compared to someone who hasn't gone through a weight loss cycle. Debunking the problem with yo-yo dieting. It's saying, if your weight is cycling, you're not at a disadvantage when you try to lose weight a second time. People think their metabolism is broken or it's harder. It's been my experience, because now I've done 4 bikini shows and I've lost about 10 pounds for each one. It actually got easier. I'm not, like, it's not in my head. It got easier every time I lost that 10 pounds, just because, like, it's like my body knew how to do it again. So don't let the fear of yo-yo dieting or rapid weight loss stop you from giving it everything you've got. And if you want to see those, if you just Googled weight control registry, you'll see it. Click on their research tab and that will all come up. I feel like those are all the questions I had, and mostly what I wanted to say. I do want to say one more thing, and then I'll let you all go, is that I'll call it a diet identity. Don't let, and if say something, Sarah, if you're still here, because I'm going to throw you under the bus. Don't let your, when you label yourself as something that is diet related, be sure that that's going to be with you forever. So, for example, my sister, like, I call it her brand, her identity, her labeling. She says she doesn't like fruit. She has zero energy around restricting fruit because she doesn't like it. But also, she just doesn't eat fruit because that's who she is. But facts. But where this goes really wrong is when I see people label themselves as an overeater, a binge eater, not counting eating disorders, an overeater, or if they say, I can't handle myself around graham crackers. I mean, you heard me say it today. It's a problem, but when you say that, it puts a lot of energy around that thing. And if you stop saying it and instead say, I'm the kind of person who can eat 1 graham cracker and it's fine. If you stop labeling yourself that way, you can start to undo those habits that have got you to where you're at. So another thing I think people label themselves as is a sugar addict, or I don't know. I'm just saying, if you can rewrite those labels, you don't need to say you're a sugar addict. In fact, one time I heard something that said, you're not addicted to sugar unless you're like spooning out granulated sugar just to have the sugar. You're only like really drawn to certain foods that are high in sugar, but they're probably also high in fat and probably also high in carbs and flour and all the other delicious things that come together. And this is true. I'm not a sugar addict. I don't spoonful granulated sugar into my mouth. And I like the salted caramel goos for my runs. I'm not going in the middle of the day, and they're like straight sugar. I'm not going in the middle of the day drinking the performance goo because I love sugar. So I think as soon as we drop those labels, we'll be able to work through some of these things that we think are our identity, and let it not be, so that we can make progress. Thank you for coming, everybody. This has been really fun. And I'll definitely do it again, and I'll publish this to my channel so that if you want to watch it later, you can. And with that, I hope you have a great Saturday. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, do that. And I will see you next time. Thanks. Bye, guys.